Hey folks, Bernie with Telecompetitor and Pivot, and I'm here today talking with Dean Mischke of Finley Engineering about the implications of the supply chain slowdown on the broadband industry. So Dean, let's dig a little deeper into service provider implications. In your opinion, how should these carriers be managing this disruptive environment of the supply chain?
If we go back and look at the major disruptors and we look at the labor force, as a company, do you have a strategic plan to manage talent? And not just for this year, for next year, but 2 to 3 or even 5 years out. I don't think that we dare look at a short window anymore. Number two is another disruptor was social media. In some respects, I consider that probably the more insidious one, because as people are more polarized by what our choices, our country is only going to be more deadlocked in getting things done. We take a look at how effective we are in making decisions and enacting legislation and what have you. Social media is only going to make it worse. On the local part of that, why does it affect me is your staff is getting information. What are you doing to manage how your company is portrayed to your staff? Are you providing them a view that's as close to the truth as possible so that they can make an informed decision and ignore the extremes? And then finally is manufacturing. Where are you getting your supplies from? Do you have alternatives? We're quite a ways into fiber deployment now. It's been a thing for the last 10 years. And so are you still deploying now the same way you did when you started? There's been a lot of changes in materials and processes and procedures. And are you looking at newer ways to do things rather than the tried and true belt and suspenders systems that we used to build?
You mentioned kind of this historical view of you don't really, start designing a network and putting forth, the resources to construct a network until such time that it was clearly laid out that you were moving forward. And I think I heard you talk about that's a scenario that needs to change a little bit in terms of just being willing to design and get ahead of the game in effect. And so what are some tools there to help manage that process, that changing way of looking at the opportunity that's out there?
There is a tremendous amount of information that's available through GIS databases and graphical information systems. And basically what it is a way to make a database visual so that you can see the impact. And so we're working with a lot of clients to design areas and do a cost model on an area that they would have ignored previously because it wasn't feasible on itself, but you had enough funding money in, it now solves some of that problem. And what we're doing is we're combining the cost to build an area along with all of the information available for what the funding sources are, their target areas they're trying to fund, and we're helping customers find an area to concentrate on, to look at for funding, and helping them get it done at a number that if they never get it, it's not a major loss. When we looked at what we did to do some of the original CAF applications and some of these others, and what we're doing today, we're coming in at a much smaller cost per customer or per passing than we would have 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And so what companies need to do is start thinking not just this year and next year, but the 2 years after that, and looking at how they extend their window out of planning.
So much more longer term planning, kind of getting your ducks in the water so that you can move quickly should the opportunity come. And I guess what I hear you saying is the cost to do that is dramatically lower than it has historically been, and it gives people the opportunity to do just that.
Correct.
Well, any last words of advice, Dean, that you would offer to the industry as a whole as we talk about this, as we wind down this discussion on supply chain challenges?
I think mainly is we need to get prepared. I don't feel that the supply chain issues are going to resolve overnight. A lot of pundits, and I won't claim credit for that, are saying 3 to 5 years now before we can say that this is past us, if it does get past us. There is just too much instability in our trading partners and in the rest of the world to be able to put a lot to things will be back to normal quickly. So when we look at what BEAD's going to do and all of the other government funding that's coming into this industry, the ones that are prepared will be the ones that succeed.
All right, Dean, great. That's a great place to end it. Thanks so much for your great perspective on this very important topic. That does it for this edition of the Broadband Industry Innovator Series. We look forward to visiting with you again soon on another important topic. Take care, everyone.